back, everyone. Long time no see.
I know.
Guys.
I feel like we're good with posting, but we haven't actually recorded in a very, very long time. So this feels very, very weird. It's like starting from the beginning again.
I know.
Vanessa was like, right, let's go. And I was like, ah! Welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we're going to be talking about the Diddy case, everything that's been going on, and that's been talking about potential updates, and also diving a little bit deeper into the traumas and emotional, physical abuse that has been experienced by this poor victim. We get into...
I feel like we need to do a little update.
We do need to do a little update.
Because I feel like we've just been passing ships for the last month. I was like, there is a person that I live with that I call a friend, but I have not seen her.
It happens sometimes, though. Yeah. It happens, like, you live in together or you're really close friends, but... sometimes, like, you end up just doing different things, your own things, and you just need a little catch-up.
So, so what have you been up to?
Well...
because it's been a big month for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, May has been my birthday month. Big up all the tourists out there.
Yes. Realised I have so many friends now, like, who are May birthdays.
Really?
Yeah,
really?
It's literally, I've had a month of, celebrating my friends.
It's the best month
like,
of the year.
It started with you and then my two other friends, and then I'm going into June with two other friends. Like, all my friends seem to be, like, in May, June. April, May, June, August.
Yeah.
Like, those are my months where I'm the brokest. Because...
when I was younger, I was like, I hate May. Because it was always raining. It was before the summer holidays, so I just didn't feel like it was a good month. But now I'm growing older, I actually really like my month.
To be fair, the weather has changed. So, like, May seems to be in the UK, where we get, like, the beginning of, like, some really nice hot weather. It's our barbecue season. We've got the bank holidays.
I think that's what it is as well.
Yeah.
I never used to be able to experience the bank holidays because I was working through the bank holidays.
Oh, yeah, because you were, like, in hospital.
So I never got to, like, appreciate them. No, it's been good. I've been on holiday.
Yes, we can see.
People said that. Oh, I didn't see much difference.
No, you're tanned. No? You're tanned. Okay. You've got your summer glow.
Because no one wants to be a ghost out here.
No, this is what I love about summer. It's like, this is my true identity.
Yeah.
My true tone.
Yeah. Morocco was amazing. I went to Marrakesh, and I was there for jealous. 6 days. I think 6 days is enough, actually, to experience the city. I went with my partner, and we planned 3 or 4 days of actual activities, and then towards the end of the holiday, we wanted to relax and kind of get out of that busy mode. So we did camel riding in the desert. What's the other one?
Do you do
I did a cooking class, and then I did quad biking. Yeah. Quad biking in the desert as well. Those are amazing activities. I felt like Morocco's the type of holiday that is kind of a once in a lifetime experience, because you never really are gonna go camel riding in the desert again, unless you obviously go again. But I don't know, it's feel like other countries, they don't have that kind of like opportunity.
I guess it depends on where you kind of travel in the world. So you've got like obviously Abu Dhabi and places like that where they would have those activities as well.
Yeah, those are the types of countries
Egypt, but they're not as accessible.
Yeah.
You need a bit more of a budget.
I was riding this camel, and I was just taking the whole experience in, and just the being in the middle of nowhere as well, and just the different types of people that we came across. But yeah, if you like culture, music, vibrancy, colour, different types of foods, I would recommend to go to Marrakesh. It was a brilliant holiday.
It's on my bucket list. I definitely want to do like Marrakesh. So I was like super jealous. I just love the colours, like the idea of the markets and the fabrics.
I had to learn how to deal with the markets because
yeah,
I'm not the best haggler. If someone said a price, I'd be like, okay, and I'd give them my money. I feel like over the course of the holiday, I learned how to haggle.
Yeah.
Because I know that I was watching videos and the kind of go-to for them is doing double or triple the actual amount. So I was trying to work out the difference and then cutting it by half.
Yeah.
So it kind of worked towards the end.
I love how you literally went away, researched and calculated it.
Yeah, no.
So to work out the formula.
On my phone, I was literally calculating the difference between the Moroccan money and English money to see what actually, because I'll say like 300 dirham, but I don't actually know what it is. Yeah. So I wanted to translate it to English money to understand the amount that I'm actually giving them.
Yeah.
And then I would kind of barter down to what I think is a reasonable amount. Yeah. I don't want to go so low that I'm cutting someone or feel like it's something that I'm getting the best deal ever, because even though these people are hustling you, they're still hustling for a reason. Like, they're not privileged people. So I feel like I want to give them a reasonable amount. Yeah, something that's reasonable for me and you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where other people are trying to get a price that is good, just good for them.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that's like a fair thing, like fair way to look about it as well.
Because I think the holiday, you also, even though you're enjoying the environment where you are, you're having fun, you're spending money, you're enjoying yourself, you still also have to look at where you're at in the city, and there is a lot of poverty there. And I saw, some heartbreaking things. Some children were on the side of the road begging, they weren't at school, and you actually come back to your life and realise, actually, I am privileged, and I need to count every day as a blessing, because some other people do not have what you have.
It is so true. I definitely felt like that in like Malaysia as well, because there was like places that we went and visited, and you could tell like this is where it was more rural, and you could tell like their lives, what they had was like very basic, and it's always a lot of it was in contrast to maybe like very touristy kind of destinations, and you kind of just see the like the contrast between people who are native and living just living their life and living within their means, and then obviously the people that there to kind of explore, some also to exploit, unfortunately. When you go to like cities as well, like when you go into like other countries that are like outside of Europe, and you go into like the cities, which is usually where a lot of the trade and everything kind of happens. You obviously have people from internationally come in, and some of them go there because it's like cheap for them, and they can exploit like the currency or the difference in currency, which I think is a shame, but it's just part of business. But that's a whole other topic before we go down that road. I know I could go off on a tangent about capitalism, and
that's another episode.
That's a whole other episode. But it's also but like you said, it makes you realize how privileged you are, the fact that you can go and explore the world and can see like different cultures and see like what life is outside our little bubble, and it just makes you like so much more appreciative and also just more hungry for like life.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like a lot of people in that city didn't have much, but in the night time they were dancing, they were playing music, they were enjoying themselves, and I think even if you don't have a lot, they were still knowing how to live life or try to live life and have at least some fun. And I think people in this country can take away from that, something from that. You may not have the best life or things that are going on with you right now, but try and do something that's gonna allow yourself to enjoy this life in some way or other.
Well, I think
they did that as a community, and I think that's also something that we don't have here, is that level of oh, sorry,
bless you.
You don't feel it coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that we don't have in this society, in the Western society, is the community where we can enjoy it together, even though we're struggling a little bit individually.
I think that's been my motto for the last, I think that's been my motto for like the last, I would say 6 months or to like a year. It's just, you know what, whatever the circumstances, like try and live life, because you never know when it's all going to end. And then do you want to sit there and be like, oh, my last days were worrying about all the things that I can't control, or my last days was like, well, I've lived my life, I had fun with my friends, okay, I didn't have money for the expensive holidays, or I wasn't able to afford like all the luxuries, but I was able to meet up with my friends, I was able to have those barbecues, I was able to have those like laughters, and it's actually just appreciating those little moments that actually make life what life is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm so glad you had such a good time.
Thank
and
you.
all of that. You needed it.
It was never ending. I'm not gonna lie. I came back to work and I was like, whew, I feel like I've done it all. I feel like, I don't know. And there was more things I had planned as well. Went to a festival. Yeah, I did loads of other stuff. I've enjoyed life. Now summer isn't 100% even here yet.
So, well, that's a good start to the summer, isn't it?
I feel like you've been definitely reaping in enjoyments from the summer. Like, from the weather anyways.
Yeah, I've been outside. I've had barbecues. I had people come over, like, just chilling in the house. I've done... Oh, there was one thing that I thought that was really spontaneous, which was really cool. It's called, like... It's these two guys that kind of tour, and they turn the audience into, like, a choir. Like, did it midweek, so it was like during the work week. My friend messaged me and was like, oh, I've got a spare ticket, the person that wanted to go can't come anymore, do you want to come? And it's called like choir. It was in the Bristol Beacon, and I was like, cool, yeah, why not doing anything this evening. Went. It was so much fun.
Really?
So, like, literally, like, they put the screens, it was about, like, massive karaoke, but then the people at the front, they're also choir directors, so they teach you, and then you learn, like, the harmonies, you get, like, split down the middle, and it's just, like, you don't have to be a singer to go there.
Okay.
It's just, like, normal audience, and they're hilarious as well.
Was that just a one-off, is it something they're doing more?
They do more, so I think they're American, so they go on tour, but they do come to Bristol, because I think that was their second time or their third time in Bristol. So I'll keep an eye out, like, for when they're back next time, and then I will definitely do it.
Okay.
It was such a spontaneous, unexpected experience. Really enjoyed it. I came back like with no voice, but it was so much fun.
Sing your heart out.
Like, yeah, but you know what? It was like exactly what I needed.
What kind of songs was it? Like choirs?
Like old school, like some of it.
Hip hop?
No. It's more like karaoke kind of songs, isn't it? Like it was.
And what, like you're the one and the one, you're the one.
Some of it, like some of it was musical. Some was like 80s classics. The song that we ended up turning into like the choir, so they do like random songs so you can just sing along, and then towards the end they didn't teach you the main song, so the main song was Hallelujah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
I'll be conscious of that though, because it's not an easy song to sing.
No, but it worked. Like, it sounded amazing.
It sounded nice.
It sounded amazing at the end.
So did they group people into their voice?
No, so like they said, we're not going to do that. We're going to split you down the middle. This side you're singing this part, this side you're singing this part. Like,
I don't know how that's going to work.
No,
Some people may be lower register.
But then you just switch over.
Registers.
If you can't sing that part, you just move over to the other side.
Okay, so it was a little bit trial and error.
What was more as the individual? They're not in the audience like regrouping. They're literally on the stage and was like, right, we'll split you down the middle. This side is this side. This side, this side. If you feel like you're more higher, stand on this side. If you feel like you would struggle with the higher notes, on this side. But they don't make the harmonies as well. Like, they didn't make it complicated. Okay. So they changed
I like
as well.
that simple singing.
Yeah, like, it wasn't like overcomplicated, like, parts. Whereas, like, almost like, you know, you've got like 6 parts in like a massive show choir. Like, it wasn't like that.
If I had one wish, it would be able to sing. Seriously. I hear people who can sing. Like, my friend has such a beautiful voice, and I hear her singing sometimes, and I'm just like, I have that talent. I would be asking my friends every weekend, karaoke.
I'd go in karaoke. Some days I can't keep a tune.
No, I still go karaoke because I enjoy it, and I don't care if my voice sounds like it's being run over by cats. But it would be even better if I could do a little Adele or a little Beyonce, you know. Yeah. But everyone has their
There's
things.
some Beyonce songs that I can sing, and there's some that just I can't. My voice said, like, no, it's not you.
I think I need simple singing. I would love to do a Whitney Houston, but I can't get those ranges. Like,
I try.
That's what we can do.
I try. I have plenty. There's been plenty of evenings where I've sat there thinking I'm fully on Whitney Houston's level.
When I'm by myself, yeah, I'm Whitney.
And then I record myself and was like, you're not quite. You sound, you know when you record yourself and you don't sound how you think you sound?
That's not something I did when I was a child. Well, I did do it when I was a child, but I did it recently and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how it sounds.
But then I realised, no, that's not true. I think sometimes it's also the mic that you're recording with. Because if you think about... Yeah, because I've then sung in front of people. We're like, oh, you can sing. I was like, can I? Because when I recorded this, it didn't sound like I could.
I want to get singing lessons.
I do.
It's so expensive.
I know.
But I would love to get singing lessons.
I know, same. I've looked into...
Just to do the basics, just to kind of tune... Because your voice is an instrument, just to tune your voice.
I'll send you this person that I've liked. She does like little singing lessons. She's a vocal coach, but she does it on YouTube. Like, she's on YouTube as well, and she sometimes does little clips, like little the things that she uses to train, like her vocal artists, and she trains a lot of young kids.
Okay.
Who are like into singing, and you can hear them from when they started to when they finish with her, and it's like night and day. Really? Like, some of them's literally night and day, and that's how you know, like, you can train. Like, singing is...
Oh, and people say that anyone can sing, but some people are born to be able to sing just off the bat, and other people need to be taught. Yeah. But everyone can at least hold a note.
Yes, you can be taught how to hold a note.
Not everyone's born to be artists.
No, that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's a different thing.
Yeah, because there is talent as well. And there is the reality of talent where you just have a ridiculous vocal range. And that's just natural talent. That's not something that you can train to.
No, that's a born thing.
It's a gift.
Well, shall we get into the
so
Diddy case?
I've been wanting to talk about this.
Juicy.
I've been wanting to talk about this because I've been following it. You know how I am. I love true crime. It is true crime. Yeah, it's true crime. It's like a live true
crime. True.
It's like, so all of this kind of stuff, like the investigative journalism and like legal kind of trials, because American trials, they're so entertaining. It's so bad, but they are really entertaining because our system does not work like this. Like, they literally, their trials is like a performance.
Did you see? You know the person that draws...
Don't let's not go into that, because...
Every different drawing of Diddy was different. One drawing had him looking like a monster, the other drawing had him looking like thinner. Yeah. It's like...
You could tell that the artist, the sketch artist, was going through the emotions.
Yeah.
But it's... You gotta remember that it's an artist, so there's artistic license that's being applied.
It should be the same. The character of the person you're doing should be the same every single time.
It's like, it's not... I don't think the ask of them is to draw for likeness. It's to draw.
It's to draw for accuracy.
No, it's not. That's not what it is.
What is it then?
Like, it's draw.
Of course it is.
No, it
You're
isn't.
having to draw what you see. Like, they do your job.
Yeah, but they're artists, so they have their own style.
Yeah, but the style is different every single time.
No, but there's two artists.
It's like they don't know what their style is.
No, there's two sketch artists.
Oh.
There's two sketch artists. So there's two sketch artists that are in the trial who've been drawing. So I think you might be seeing one style and then another style.
Yeah.
You're
they
saying
look
like
very different.
Yeah, so it's probably one artist.
You woke up one day and decided to do that?
No. So I think it's just like there's two artists, and I think they both have a distinctive like style. So I think one draws him like was really skinny, and then the other like draws like a slightly different version. But I find that so fascinating as well, like the idea of being like, oh wait, like that could have been a career option. Live legal sketch artist.
That's
like
something you'd wanna go into.
No, I don't have the skills. Like I can't sketch that quickly, like in terms of portraits and stuff. I'm someone that does portraits, but I have to take my time.
Because we did that. Remember, we did the
life drawing.
Life drawing. Yours was quite good, from what I remember. It was quite a while ago.
Yeah, but like I'm not as quick with it, and so like in a trial when you're following it, like you probably need to have. You need to have a distinctive style where you can like draw people quite well. Mm-hmm. I could have probably trained for it if I continued down like the art route, and probably would have been able to develop the skill. But I went down the graphics design route in the end before university, and I've not really done portraits since then, apart from like that one painting that I did, like a couple of years ago.
Not gonna lie, I had to chat GP the case because I've not been following the updates of what's happened in every single trial. I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit triggering for me.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
I
didn't know that.
So I don't know. I think when you've experienced something kind of similar, it is a bit something you don't really want to listen to. So I had to just chat GP like the overall parts of it. Obviously I do know about before, like allegations that came out. I do know things that Diddy allegedly has done. Yeah. Do
you want to kind of read out the blurb just for the audience?
If anyone else doesn't really know or isn't up to speed with what's going on, I'll just read out this little blurb thing. So the Cassie and Diddy case refers to a legal and criminal matter involving music mogul Sean Diddy Combs and singer Cassie Ventura. In 2023, Cassie filed a lawsuit against Diddy, alleging a decade-long pattern of abuse. A decade-long pattern of abuse, including rape, physical assault, and sex trafficking. She claimed that Diddy subjected her to a cycle of violence and exploitation, starting when she was 19 and he was 37.
Okay, pause. Can we just
let's tap into that.
Really think about this. She started dating him when she was 19 and she was signed to him and he was 37. And this point is very important, I think, to our later on discussion. I'll continue.
And that he controlled various aspects of her life, including her career and personal relationships. The lawsuit was settled in November 2023 for $20 million. Diddy denied the allegations, describing them as offensive and outrageous, and claimed that Cassie had attempted to extort him. His legal team stated that the settlement was not an admission of wrongdoing. In May 2025, the case escalated when federal charges were brought against Diddy, including sex trafficking, racketeering, and coercion. Cassie testified in court, providing graphic details of the abuse she allegedly endured. The trial had attracted significant media attention, with several celebrities named as witnesses or involved parties.
Is still ongoing, so the trial hasn't finished. It's an ongoing trial at the moment.
Yeah. The case was sparked widespread discussions about abuse, power dynamics, and accountability in the entertainment industry.
And I think that last point is quite key.
I think that blurb kind of explained a lot of points, and highlighted a lot of very wrong things in each of the statement I just read out. And like you said, the last bit, accountability and positions of power dynamics and stuff like that, is very important to highlight, because this isn't just a one-time thing.
No. And so I've been following some of the trial. Actually, I've been following the trial for a little bit, because I'm not really into like the celebrity in terms of like following artists and things like that. But I think things like this pop up, it kind of just confirms like some of the apprehensions that I've had of the music industry in Hollywood, for quite a few years now, quite a significant amount of years. Once I started to kind of just see some of these patterns being uncovered, I was like, something is not right, without going into a whole other discussion around it. So I think that's why I've been really interested in this kind of case, because I think there was a couple of times I watched Diddy on like a show, again, randomly stumbled upon across a show. I think it was like a Masked Singer. No, he created like this music talent show or something. I think it was called The Circle or something like that. I can't remember. I kind of watched it randomly, like YouTube clips of it. End up on YouTube, end up down like a hole, and then you find something like, oh, this is interesting. And you follow like 10% of the actual show. So he was creating this. He created the show, and I think it was him that created it. So I think the prize of that was for them to the artist that kind of won, to kind of be signed to his label or something like that. As far as I remember, I might be wrong. But when I was watching him during some of these like panels, like him on the panel, there was something in my spirit that was like, there's something not right.
There's an energy that people hold, I feel like, when they're doing something, when they have that toxic energy and you know that their whole aura is bad, negative. People can read that and feel that. Yeah.
Obviously, I'm someone that I am a Christian. Like I follow my faith strongly. I believe in the supernatural, not the supernatural in terms of AKA like I'm not into the witchcraft and stuff. Let me just clarify this. Like Jesus is the only way. But I understand that there's like different, like I do believe that there's different spirits and things like that manifest and can take hold of people and things like that. So there was something about him that I was seeing. I was like, there's something not right there in his characteristics and how he was even like dealing with things. So when this whole thing came out, I was like, I was not surprised at all, not one bit. And again, I'm not someone that follows him or the industry like that. But when some of these things that was like uncovered, and there's still things that are being uncovered, it's like, it's just the extent of this, like almost going into like a ritualistic kind of stuff that he was doing during like his reign.
Do you think that he can actually hide some of the stuff that he was doing? Because I've seen lots of podcasts, I've seen clips of on the VMAs and these Hollywood events, just different things that highlighted the level of abuse that he was giving. He, on a podcast, I heard him describe how he is in a relationship, And he was saying, yeah, 25% of me, you know, a woman, I cheat on women, and a woman is telling me, oh, you're horrible, your actions are, like, not nice, they're nasty, but 75% of me is loving, is kind, is giving everything the woman wants. And no one addressed it in the podcast.
No, because it's
at all. Did you see in the one of the red carpets when Cassie was him and Cassie were together, and Cassie was being interviewed, and she was responding to one of the questions, and you saw how he puffed his chest out and gave her a look, kind of signifying, if you step out of line or say anything that I don't agree with, you're gonna get something bad tonight. That's what kind of the energy and things given. So this was all filmed and things that people were seeing of him, but
there's too many people
question this behavior.
And I think there's so many people that have been subpoenaed in this case, who've worked for him, who've like left working for him, who are coming forward and like sharing their experiences and stuff. Like, for someone to hold that level of power of people, so there's been like so many people who've had these experiences, and no one kind of spoke up until now, until like the federal government is pressing charges.
He
and
must
like
have been so powerful,
you know. And for the federal government, like, let's deep it in America, for the federal government to be pressing charges, like there needs to be a significant amount of evidence first for them to even go after someone like that. Because reality, and like there's some people that are making this argument. I was like, yeah, but there's been no proof of the racketeering charges or like the charges that he's being foiled. Like, this is just a domestic abuse kind of case, because everyone's kind of simplifying it down to just kind of.
Can you describe what racketeering is?
I don't really know what the word is really. So the way I might remember this incorrectly, but racketeering, actually maybe it might just be easier to Google it. But from what I remember, it's almost like an umbrella term to kind of it's an umbrella term for organized crime.
Yeah, that's what it
essentially
is. Racketeering is a type of organized crime involving a pattern of illegal activities, typically involving fraud, extortion, and other coercion schemes.
Yeah. So that's basically what he's being charged with.
Okay.
And I think for the federal government to go after him in that way kind of basically means that they're trying to tie, or there's evidence to tie like his behavior to how he's made his money.
And that's the reason why they're going after him, because there's obviously sex trafficking.
Allegedly.
I don't know why we need to say this word. Like, come on, it's obvious. He's sex trafficking and doing all the things. Like, so for example, Cassie is an individual. If he was just doing some of this, like all of this abuse to just this individual and not doing any of the other stuff, that federal government wouldn't care.
No,
it's because it's a bigger
enterprise. Yeah. So because he's built like a whole business, and I think, let's be honest, like let's be real. Like, we know, or we see it from on the streets as well. Like, we know people who start like businesses with money that they got not kosherly, you know, and then they clean it.
Yeah.
Right? But the means to an end sometimes is not legal. And I think that's one of the, I'm perceiving based on some of the comments and some of the things that are coming out in the trial, like that's how they're kind of linking it. So obviously he's become this massive mogul.
Do you think he's the top person of this?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think there was a pattern within the industry of this type of behaviour, and I think he obviously learned this behaviour from
a mentor.
He had a mentor. There is a name that people have mentioned. I can't remember this mentor's name. It's like it's a white man, but who mentored Diddy. Yeah. And you need to also think, like, you need to also look at like his family dynamic, like his mum, right? The mum ain't kosher either.
Well, the mum was trying to say he didn't do anything, he's not guilty, it's all false. And I can't stand it when mothers know damn well what their son is like and they still back up that person and encourage this type of behaviour.
And the reason why this behaviour starts to be encouraged or being accepted is because, let's call it for what it is. It's normalising this type of behaviour for the sake of financial gain, for the sake of building capital, for the sake of trying to create, quote unquote, a legacy. But the legacy is just rooted in money. Like, it's just rooted in finances. And that, like, when we're talking about money, it's like the power that it's connected to, you know? And like, I don't think how he's gotten to where he's gotten is anywhere different to how some of the massive corporations that we know are doing right now, like that even run half of the world, like the World's Economic Forum, right? Let's be realistic. Like, I think there's a bigger part of this whole thing, like, that's tied to like capitalism, and the essence of capitalism.
This isn't just a one person.
No, and it's it's not just a one person. He's the one person that's being on trial, and I do think I want to believe that if he does come out of it being tried as guilty, that it's the beginning of us actually rebuilding justice.
And
dismantling these old systems that have benefited of exploiting like the everyday people, because that's the reality, and that's the power part. That's the abuse of power. Like, when you start to lose your soul, I must say soul specifically, in anything that you're doing, like, it's not worth it. Like, what's the point of humanity if that's how we're going to operate?
And I think also, stemming on from that is people who potentially are experiencing, in the case of Cassie, the level of abuse that she's going through. People connecting with that.
Yeah.
They're realising, oh, this is my life experience. Oh, that's my friend's experience, you know? And they're people that are experiencing these things are actually realising, oh, this is my story, you know? Yeah. And they're connecting to that.
Exactly.
Because sometimes when you're in abusive situations, you don't actually realise you're in it sometimes.
No. Because, like, if everything around you or everyone around you normalizes it, like, it becomes even harder for you to speak up about it. So you might feel like this isn't right. Like, as human beings, I think when we see people being exploited, when we see people being abused, etc., there should be something that stirs inside of us, but we've become so desensitized to even feeling that level of empathy anymore, because we're seeing it, we've been bombarded by it constantly, that we're like, humanity is exhausted. Humanity as a whole is absolutely exhausted with everything that's going on. So people are almost losing their fight, and I think it's creating a space for these, like, people like this to just keep taking what they want without any care or any consequence. But yeah, I think on the abuse part as well, it's just like
do people know when to walk away?
In terms of like abuse, I don't think it's easy.
No, I don't think it's like linear. I don't think it's just black and white.
It definitely
I think
isn't.
There's so many things stemmed, and I think from what I read out, the little blurb thing, the fact that there's a massive age difference in it, she's she's a baby. She's a baby, and this is a full-grown man who has had, you know, a whole career. He knows things like about life. He's in playing a game already. He knows the industry. He's got ties. And this is a woman who has just become a woman, is trying to understand, trying to pursue music, has that innocent mindset, and is trying to understand the industry and wants to be in the industry, you know? And he's given her an opportunity to have a career. And the fact that they were in a relationship, became in a relationship while he was her manager, is even worse.
Yeah, it's coercive control, like, within that, because when she testified, and some of the things that she mentioned was like she kept being promised like the album, etc., but all she got was that one single, and she kept saying like, you've promised, and we were like, yeah, we'll get into the studio, but then that became something that he held over her throughout this, and it's like, no, but you need to do this for me, you need to be doing this for me,
and that's a sense of financial abuse.
Yeah,
because obviously he's her manager, he has control over her finances while being in the relationship. You know, what can she do? There's nothing for her to do in that situation.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think it's just a Cassie thing, because there was the other thing that's come out, and this is, I think, where this is a pattern, and I realised that this was quite common, where he had custody over Justin Bieber. The parents...
Did he?
Yes. Parents... So some of these parents... So deeper, there's kids that are breaking into these music industries, and there's a pattern where these... studios that they're getting signed to and stuff... ask for parents to sign over custody.
So they're signing over their kid, basically.
Yes. And so there's a whole video that came out when, an Usher, so Usher made a statement. He's saying, like, oh, I'm grateful for Diddy and stuff, but, like, he introduced me into Wild.
That
and I think, yeah, like, but
they're children. Usher was 16.
This is what I'm saying. Deeper, you're following your kids, yeah? You're 19, you're 16, you're 15 or 12. Like, you've been discovered. Or, like, and someone's telling you, like, you get to follow your dream. You get to fulfill your dream of becoming, like, a music artist, being able to, like, live out your passion, right? And then you get thrown into this industry and into a certain lifestyle. And everyone around that is like, this is normal, this is how it is, this is just how it's done, kind of thing. And you're in your mind, you're this innocent kid, was like, well, this is my dream, until you become a whole adult.
My safeguarding bells are ringing off.
Honestly.
Because these abusers know that the children are very vulnerable type of people, you know? They're learning things, they don't know these things.
It's a pattern in Hollywood, though. Like, Celine Dion, like, let's talk about her as well. Like, she married her producer.
He's grooming. Yeah.
And he met her when she was 12. Yeah. And he was 50, probably.
There should be laws in place. I don't understand how there's no laws in place that, like, stops this stuff from happening.
Well, there's supposed to be. Like, in any other business, there's a HR system. And if I start having relations with my manager and everything like that, then there needs to be a report of this. And then it's like, there's a conflict of interest here at this point. You might not be able to do certain dealings no longer because there is a conflict in interest. But the way this industry has been created, like, it's like all of this type of thing is like normalized. Like, please.
Now I deep it, I actually remember. I actually can think of so many celebrities that are well known that have been in that situation. Yeah. Beyonce and Jay-Z, Aaliyah and R. Kelly, this Cassie and Diddy, this Lee Dion. Like, this is forward. I'm just thinking at the top of my head. Yeah.
And who was the person in power at the time? Beyonce was young. Right, she was signed.
It's all these men.
like to Rock Nation, which was partly affiliated with Jay-Z. He then made her to who she is now. And then she's like, that's my man, that's the love of my life. Not realizing at the time, okay, now you might have grown. Like, you might have grown up now and whatnot. But, like, come on, like, came up to me and I met you at 16 and you're trying to tell me that your boyfriend is 37? Yeah. I'm going to slap you silly. And I'm going to phone the police. I was like, I'm sorry, there's a grown-ass man grooming a 16-year-old. That's what it is. Because, like, that's not normal.
No.
You're in two different stages of life. That's exploitation. You cannot tell me that a 16-year-old is mature enough to be making those life decisions on their own. I didn't feel mature enough at the age of 16.
Oh, no. I was a baby.
Yeah. And I think that's the point. Like, it's just like, but that kind of behavior is, like, normalized. And it's just, it's so sad to see because it happens in so many spaces as well. And, like the reality is, it's like we've lost our sense of trying to protect the children. Really and truly. And it happens a lot in the black community. Let's talk about black community as a global black community. Right? When it comes to, like, money and trying to gain some, like, financial power, like, we start to compromise on our morals.
Yeah.
Because it's like for the sake of, like, okay, well, we're trying to make it, we're trying to come out of the...
Is this how you want to make it? Is this how you want to represent yourself and your community?
You're gonna have to answer to someone at the end of the day.
But we're not claiming him. Sorry, I don't claim Diddy. I don't claim people like that.
I'm not saying like claiming, but I'm saying like...
But people, other people outside the community will be like, you know what I mean? But we don't claim that type of person.
But it happens to it's not even just on these massive platforms. It happens even in smaller, like, communities. And it's like no one's holding these men accountable. Thank you. Exactly. I'm sorry, how many stories have we heard? Like, every ethnic person that I know knows that it's a creepy uncle that is trying with the young girl. Yeah. And then there's, for every creepy uncle, there's an auntie that closes her eyes. Sure. There's a mother that's like, oh, that's just how he is.
Yeah, we should not know. People.
You know, no one's saying anything about it. Like, yeah. And I think it's
every single person that I know knows that certain type of situation.
I'm grateful for my mother, for that. Like, I'm grateful for my mother. Because she was always hot on that. She didn't leave me alone with certain people. And as a kid, like, I felt that there was something off. Didn't know what it was, and she probably, like, did her best to protect me in that sense, and I'm grateful for her. Like, at least she had those instincts.
But I think that's why these conversations are so important, and highlighting the importance of safeguarding children and being aware of people, and not just giving them certain people the benefit of the doubt, because this is so many people's stories. You know,
we all have those stories.
And I think back in the day, like, discussions like this, they weren't really spoken about, or they were, like, pushed under the rug. And we're out here trying to break generational
curses. We're trying to break them. Cycles. We're not trying to repeat the cycles of our past, because it's not. It's time for us to heal properly.
So in terms of, like, Cassie's situation, what do you see, like, coming from this?
I think, like I think she's brave.
I commend her. Like, really and truly, some people are not even able to. I've been in a situation where I finally did call the police, and I think it's hard for women when you're in abusive situation to confide in people, even that are close to you, and also the authorities, because when something really traumatic and bad happened to me, which was a police-worthy call, the police officer did not validate my story. And I think that happens a lot, where women and people do try and get help, but it's not met with seriousness. And I think I've seen that a lot in this case, that there's comments online, people saying that she's faking it, or she was a part of the problem, she's not a victim. And I think that's a real big problem, that this serious incident is not validated by people, and it stops people from coming forward.
But I think that goes back down to this community mindset of like trying to ascertain like we're trying to dictate people's experiences for them, and trying to say like you have no right to be feeling that way because you've made X and Y decision. And like that's not the point. Like the point is, in this whole situation, like you need to go back to when she started, and at that point, like if she didn't have anyone in her corner telling her this is not normal, right?
Yeah, like this is not healthy. How do you know that people knew about it?
Huh? Well, no, it was public at that point. Like she was 19.
You mean the age? So I thought you meant the things that he was doing.
No, it's the age. Then let's talk about first and foremost. It started with the age difference. Like it started with the age difference, right? I know people are trying to say like age is nothing but a number, but like in certain spaces, it does matter. Especially when you're in a certain lifespan. I think it's very different. Like if you're dating someone if you're coming into your late 20s and you decide to date someone that's like 20 years older than you, like you've matured, you've reached maturity at that point. So then yes, I would agree, age isn't as important. But when you're a teenager, because that's what you are, at 19 you're a teenager, right? And you're dating a grown adult who is nearly 20 years older than you, like, there is a problem there. And for you, at age of 19, to think that that's acceptable and normal in itself, there's something that's happened.
She couldn't even drink in America. I'm just deep in that. 21 is the age to be able to drink.
So how did no one at that point say, what are you doing? How did no one in her family or in her close circle say, girl, like, this is not right? How did no one in her, like, immediate circle...
They weren't thinking about the money. They wanted her to gather the fame. They thought this is the in.
And that's the problem.
How you're going to get the music career, is being with this old, goofy man.
And so this is how men like this are capable of basically keep doing this level of abuse. They're abusing their position of power. They're abusing, like, every area. That's a form of abuse. To be able to hold that much control over someone and coerce them. Because to me, like, that's coercion. Right? If you're saying to a 19-year-old girl that you have no business, you have no business of dealing with, and you're a father. You are a father of girls.
Let's get into that.
Right? Let's think about that.
The fact that the children were even in the courts is wild to me. They left.
What,
the girls or the boys?
The twins, but I think his kids left halfway through Cassie's testimony.
I think that was on the first day, but I think they went back.
But they left halfway through the testimony because they were so distraught by what they were hearing.
I feel like the sons, I'm not sure about the daughters, but I feel like the sons knew exactly what was going on, and also had a potential involvement in some of the craziness that was going on, like the freak-offs and the white parties and all of that stuff. He was allowing the children to be around these parties, alcohol, anyways. That's even just alarm bells as it is. So I think the children were in more depth than we think.
I agree. One of his sons has started to speak out against him. Saying like, I don't know which one. I think
is it
the lighter skinned one.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah. What's his name? Quincy, yeah. He's starting to say stuff. Well, he's had allegations against
probably,
him,
but I think he's probably... I'm hoping that, like, if it is, let this be a wake-up call to yourself.
True.
True. Like, because I think there's a thing...
This is the path that you're going to... will be the path that you'll be going down if you follow the actions of this man. Yeah,
let it be a wake-up call for you to turn away from, like, your ways and acknowledge, like, what you've done.
I feel so bad for the kids because your mum's passed... and it wasn't passing from pneumonia, let's just say that. And then your dad's
been doing a madness this whole time and is now coming out for the world to see.
Your dad is not a good dad. So who do they have? They're like orphans.
Yeah. And what's interesting, I think the defender's trying to paint it at the moment that he, like, and people it's like trying to paint him as there was two Diddys. One that was under the influence of drugs, and then one who was, like, not under the influence of drug, who was clean. And they're trying to kind of paint it that his decision making or, like, this crazy, like, abuse persona, they're trying to do it, not the judge. The judge is just there to the defending and stuff. They're trying to paint it as if, like, it was just a substance abuse issue, and that turned him into this person kind of thing. And, like, no. There's a character flaw at some point when there is a string of events that kind of confirm certain behaviours, right? Then that becomes a character flaw. It's got nothing to do with the drugs. The drugs heightened it. The drugs probably made him lose more control of his demons, because I'm gonna call it that, demons, right? Then on a normal day when he might have been, like, sober and stuff. But it's just like, the point is it's like it's the abuse. All of
those decisions. He was still controlling her in many different ways, whether it's physical, emotional, financial, digital. Like, he could have revenge porn. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different ways you can trap someone into a space. And
Diddy is controlling. You can tell even with how he dealt with his defense team. Like, the way, like, the team that he tried to put together to defend him and stuff, he is controlling.
Yeah, and other men are scared of him.
He is trying to control the narrative. Like, that's a characteristic. And that's a characteristic of someone who is an abuser.
Yeah.
That is it. That's what it is. It's, like, that's the characteristic of someone who is capable of continuous abuse. The worst type.
What would you like to see from this? Like, what do you think should happen to Diddy?
He should, I think, like, okay, let me speak from, like, my character, like, truly. And I do believe deep down, like, everyone has the capability of turning their life around, and that there is forgiveness, right? But forgiveness does not mean no accountability. That's what I'm saying.
No.
Yeah.
He needs to do something. No, he needs to experience something.
Yeah. Forgiveness does not mean, it's not the absence, I believe, of accountability if you've done something. So it's a part of that. It's like, I do want to see justice, because regardless of anything, like, it's not just one person he abused. He's traumatized his employees. Like, I think one of the people that was
allegedly murdered.
We don't. Yeah, exactly. And so, like, you need to be accountable for your actions. If you're truly trying to say, like, I'm a changed person, take accountability. Show the world that you put your hands up. Take accountability. Do your time. Right? That to me,
his time is going to be forever.
But it doesn't matter.
That's why he doesn't want to put his hands up.
But it doesn't matter.
He knows he's not free. Like, he's so used to being on the top and so powerful and free that now your hands are behind your back, you're in a jail cell, you have no freedom, no nothing. That's out of what he knows.
Yeah, but that's what you've put people in. You've put them into a psychological prison with your behavior, and I think that's the reality. Like, we need to start becoming more mindful of our actions. It's no longer like, oh, like, me. That's not who we, like, that's not how, like, I think the society has created this mindset that, like, everyone is an individual, and, like, it's all just about ourselves, and everyone's become so self-centered, like, that they no longer feel accountable to the next person anymore. right? It's that there is this almost air like, you know what, this is who I am, you just gotta take me or you leave me. But like, no, that's not how it is.
You have to self-reflect. You have to be willing to change yourself. And that's a part of, emotional intelligence, all the stuff that you learn in therapy.
Exactly. And if you are not capable of doing that, you have the ability of abusing someone. Whether you mean to or not, it's a different story. But like I think that's the experience that I've had. You know, I've had that experience. I've worked in a workplace where it got to the point when I started to see certain patterns, and these patterns were from leadership, and there wasn't any accountability to behaviors, right? And even when someone was trying to hold this individual, like I tried to hold this individual accountable, individual or individuals.
In your case, though, did you know I mentioned about people not believing you, like believing a person when they're trying to let people know this is happening to me? In your case, I know that was the case, that you actually did put forward some stuff that this was happening to you, and no one believed you.
People didn't. I don't think people wanted to believe me. I think people probably saw truth, turned a blind eye. I think that
because they were scared of the repercussions of that.
Yeah, I do believe that there was like people turned a blind eye because they were trying to protect their jobs. I was forced to be in, and I'm gonna be honest, in a situation that legally was not okay. And if I truly wanted to, and that's about knowing your rights, especially if you're working in any place, understanding your employment rights. If I wanted to, I would have been able to raise that. But I was like, at that point, when you're constantly beaten down, if you're gaslit, if you're being told one thing behind closed doors, right, and then when you bring it up, it was like, no, like the story changes slightly.
Gaslighting.
Like you get gaslit, the truth gets manipulated, right, to the point when you start to question your own sanity. You start questioning your own sanity. And this is why, like, I get really frustrated when I start hearing all these people making these comments about like Cassie, like, oh, she knew what she was doing, she didn't.
No,
she was so deep into it, and she believed she was in love with this man. She believed at one point she was in love with this man throughout all of this.
And she didn't want to disappoint him or make him feel a type of way. And that's what someone can do when they're abusing someone, is manipulate someone to the point and gaslight someone to the point where you just want to please them. That's all you want to do, is just please that person, because if they're not pleased, you're going to get the unpleased version of this person, which is not nice, you know? So all you want to do is make that person feel good. And that could be in a workplace where you say yes to everything, or it could be in a relationship where you're still saying yes to everything, you know? But it's something you don't want to do because you're scared of the impact of that person's reaction.
Exactly.
Which is abuse.
Exactly. That's the definition of abuse. You are in an environment where you no longer feel safe, so you start to do the things that you feel like you need to self-protect yourself. At that point, you're no longer in control. When you step into that, you're no longer in control. That's not control. That's not control of your decision making. That's not being in control of your situation. Because if you're having to compromise what you truly want to do in order to feel safe in a situation, you've already lost. And I think that's where, but it's so hard to prove that you've been in an experience of like coercive control, because that's what it is.
I think emotional psychological abuse is really hard to track, because it's he said, she said.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that, I'm not comparing the type of abuse is abuse, but with physical and potentially digital, it's easier to identify because you've got the evidence there. You know, you could take pictures of it, you potentially got messages, or you've got the evidence of that person like potentially posting something against you, you know?
Yeah.
And I found in my experience, emotionally, like I was emotionally abused and psychologically abused, but in the moment I didn't realize that that was what was going on until towards the very end, where I just like had absolutely enough, and I was like at rock bottom. And when I was kind of like looking through, because no one teaches you stuff like this, you know, no one actually teaches you, you know, what is abuse, what are the like the categories of abuse. I only started kind of learning it through my safeguarding training, and then you actually start to realize, oh, okay, this is what it is. And I was like looking, like doing some research, you know, of abuse, and there were certain...
I had the same experience.
Yeah, so there were certain levels of titles that it was highlighting that this is what abuse is, and you're shocked because you realise, oh, this is what I experienced, you know, and
it shifts your whole reality.
You didn't put that part and label it as that, you know. For example, it's a part of control where someone's I researched that they're either, it's part of physical as well actually, where someone threatens to unalive you or hurt or harm you, your family or your pet, or threaten to harm themselves, the abuser. And obviously if you're in love with the abuser, you don't want that to happen, so you'll stay with them because you don't want that to happen. Like, that is something that I experienced, where someone, my ex, did to use that against me and then manipulate the situation, where he said, like, would say like, oh, I'm gonna go and jump off a bridge, or I'm gonna go and jump in front of a train. And that happened for so long, and I was just trying to protect and like help this person, but I was staying in something that I didn't want to stay in, but I felt like I had to because I didn't want that thing that they were threatening to do happen, you know. And it's something, so you don't kind of identify that that is the title of the abuse until you actually are outside of it and realise, oh wait, okay, that is my experience, you know?
Yeah. I think I was shocked when we first started, like, I think it was around when you first moved in, and then we started to become a bit more closer, and we started talking about some of these things, and I was like, that's not right.
What was the, okay, I'm just curious, what was the alarm bells for you that you thought, oh, this girl isn't in something good here?
I think my first alarm bells rang was when, because obviously I met him, he seemed really lovely, that kind of thing, but my alarm bells first rang when I heard you guys arguing, and it's the way that you guys argued. I think it was just loud, the doors were open, kind of thing, and I was like, okay. And then, and I think I'm trying to remember, but I think the main thing that I kind of remember, the main alarm bell that rang, is, I think we were chilling in the living room, like, I was downstairs, I think you came downstairs to cook and stuff, and then we ended up just chatting randomly, and we were sat in the living room, and he was in there briefly, and then he went upstairs, and then I think he kept ringing you or whatever, kind of thing, in a message, and I think you just wanted to chill downstairs and talk, right? You were quite happy, like, just chatting to me, but you eventually went upstairs, and I feel like I asked you, like, the next day or whatever, or may have heard something, and then it's what he was saying to you. It was like, oh, I've came to visit you and stuff like that, and you ain't spending any time with me, you're just sat downstairs, and it was just a lot of this, like, blame thing that was, like, being projected, and you were like, well, you could have come downstairs. It's like, oh, I didn't want to be downstairs, I was like, but you're just up here playing like a game, kind of thing. So, like, it wasn't even like, oh, I want to spend quality time with you, like, he just wanted to control where you were.
I remember that situation. I think I remember telling you, like, and I think I didn't really twig the severity of it when I told you, because I said it to you very, like, casually. I was like, oh yeah, he was just like having a go at me because apparently I was ignoring him. But obviously I wanted to just talk. I was downstairs talking to you, and he took that as, you know, I was ignoring him, that that he wasn't happy with me trying to just get to know someone in my house, you know?
Yeah.
And it became a massive problem. And that's a part of control, when someone's trying to control you.
It's like, it's the emotional control. Because I think, like, there's one thing of kids saying, like, oh, and I think the reason why I was like, that's not healthy, really it was the severity and the extent of the reaction. I think there's one thing, like, it's natural to be like, I was excited, you know, and I'm a bit disappointed that, like, I didn't get to spend as much time with you. And then you just communicate it and you let it, but it was like what you then shared with me afterwards. I was like, that's a bit odd. Like, that's a bit deep for what it was.
And I think that's what it is. Like, a lot of the instances were very exaggerated, you know? It was something super small, and then when he brought something that he didn't like to my attention, it was something extreme, you know? It was made out to be an extreme situation when it wasn't, you know? But, yeah, I'm out of that now.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
Like, it's a shame. Like, I think it's always sad as well, like, when you see people go through it, like, especially when you start caring about the person, and then you're witnessing, like, behaviours that, like, this isn't healthy. And then the more, like, you're trying to be like a friend, and the more you speak to them and stuff, I was like, really, this is not healthy. This is not okay. And they can't see it.
Until they're, like, out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's always the saddest part, because there's a few instances where I've seen that, and it's just like, you're worth. And I think the pattern I've always recognized is, like, the people who end up in these situations, like, it's usually the characteristic of the guys, like, they're very insecure. The other person's actually naturally quite confident, but they're being made to feel small and insignificant.
The biggest line that I got was, "You'll never ever find anyone."
When you told me that, I was like,
good as me. And in that moment, I kind of believed it.
I know you believed it. Because I remember who you were when I first met you, and to who you are now. You are two very different people. You have grown into your confidence, but I think someone like that would chip away at all your confidence. And I think the reason why I recognize that now is, it's like, I was the same thing. I was in a safeguarding situation, and then, like, for a training, and then I realized, like, and this is, like, in the context of working with kids and young people, and then I realized, like, the definition of abuse, and was like, wow. Like, what I experienced most of my childhood is actually abuse. And it's really complex, especially when you then get to a point where it's like, I still love my parents, I still love who they are, because they did the best that they can. This is not me to say, like, to slate them, like, you know, but what you still experienced wasn't okay. Like, it wasn't safe.
And I think it's really difficult, because those people, even people in a relationship, are supposed to be people that are going to love you, take care of you, and protect you. And when they're doing the opposite, it's really hard to digest.
Yeah. Like obviously, the natural thing is, like, we have bad days, you know? We're not perfect. We all have tendencies to be toxic. So, like, there's definitely a difference between, like, toxic traits and, like, abusive behavior. Like, so let's not conflate the two things, because there is a reality. We have humans, we've got emotions, there's certain things that we ain't dealt with, and it's, like, it's an opening to learn.
I think it's about patterns. I think, like, when someone, because I was also reading up on it, and it's quite a pattern where someone can say, do something really horrible, so it's really bad, and then, you know, you're like, blah, 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 oh, I'm sorry, I never do that again. Next day, same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I never did that again. Next day, same thing. And it's like the pattern of just like wearing someone down, but telling someone, I'm sorry, but then not actually changing your actions.
No.
It's all words.
And that's the thing, it's like, it's the accountability. There is no accountability. And I think this is where abuse of power comes in. It's like people who are in these positions, like, they do not allow accountability for their actions. They might say what they need to say, but the patterns is the same. And that's exactly what I recognized, and that's what I was experiencing. It's like, it doesn't matter. I had to leave, but deep down, like, I didn't want to. I felt forced to leave. And that's because I had, and I was lucky enough to have healthy people around me to say, like, you know what, at this at this point, it's just best that you leave, you know? And for me, like, the principle was, like, I don't like the idea of being forced to leave. Like, where I'm having to throw in the towel of, like, a fight, you know? When you feel like there's an injustice. Because in my mind, was like, they win. So, like, there was a battle.
I don't see it like that, though. Like, I see it as, you know, you're winning by leaving because you don't want to be associated and be a part of a toxic environment. It wasn't just that individual that was toxic. The actual environment was toxic too. And I get that, okay, if one participant in that setting was like a bad guy, you know, and everything was amazing, like, I get that, but in your case, that wasn't actually the case. Like, there was a lot of other things and other people in positions of power that weren't doing well, and it was a toxic environment, you know. And I think the fact that you were able to hold yourself, realize, actually, this isn't what I deserve. I deserve to be in a better environment. I don't deserve to be treated like this every day and be in this position. I'm going to take myself and put myself somewhere else that is going to receive my goodness, you know? And that is winning to me, not staying in somewhere trying to battle someone that is bad for you.
Yeah. I realize that now, but I guess when you're in the thick of it, you know, and also you're in two minds of, like, trying to fight the injustice, but also trying to fight to survive. You know, and, like, that's where it becomes really tricky. And I think when people are saying, like, why is Cassie only coming forward now and stuff like that, sometimes it takes time for you to really deep, like, all your experiences, for you to heal. And sometimes you need to be in a position of somewhat, like, healing to even be able to address an abuser. And then some people will never get to that point and never even get the opportunity to address the abuser.
Sometimes they go back.
They keep going back.
Sometimes they're out and they go back because for some reason there's a connection, whether that's kids, whether that's them knowing where you live and coercing you into coming back. Like, sometimes, like, that's like someone's long-term journey is trying to escape. And sometimes it's not just okay, I've left and it's done.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, people are going through something long term with this.
I guess, like, we say all of this, really, I think we as a society, I think as a community, as human beings, I think we really need to start addressing some of these behaviors. And I think specifically, I think the reason why this whole situation is very important as well is, like, if these are the men that our boys and our men have as role models, like, why are we surprised to see what we're seeing in society, in a certain community? Like, why are we surprised that there is this level of behavior of violence, of violence against women, but violence against each other, a violence just generally, like, a violent...
I was gonna say, I think it's about being able to speak up. If your friend, for the guys, if you know your friend is doing something crazy, speak up. You know? Say, this isn't okay. Don't laugh along and, like, think it's funny. If you're hearing something that person is doing, speak up. against them, and potentially even not be their friend because of it. Because people that do these types of things, it's not right to allow them to carry this on. And if you're someone who's got a friend and you're experiencing them go through these things, like, also talk to them, offer some form of support, just try your best to help them, because these things is so common, and these things need to get better, in my opinion. And it's a part of, like you're saying, and part of our society. This isn't just a one-time thing.
No.
This is a thing that goes on a lot.
I think it's just like, it's about, like, we need to start holding each other accountable. We need to hold each other accountable about our behaviours, and then how our behaviours can impact other people. It goes for girls as well. I'm not saying that women haven't got the ability to be toxic or abusive. It does happen as well. There's plenty of women that I've seen who have very abusive tendencies. Whether that's mothers, whether that is girlfriends, whether that's wives as well, and they have those same behaviors. But I think if we really want to heal collectively, we need to start holding each other accountable. And if you're someone that's there, that sees it, like, this isn't right, like, you start calling it out, you know. Like, I think until we start addressing, like you said, and start openly talking about some of these things, like, we'll never find a solution to this. It's just going to keep being a cycle. We need to start breaking these cycles, because it's just not how we're supposed to be. Like, we need to just make the world, like, this is the thing, stuff like this makes me scared to even have children in this world. I'm broody.
Yeah.
You know?
But I feel like if you have that mindset and you have those positive things, like, I know that's for you, you know, you say, oh, it makes me scared to bring a child into this world. But if you know you're doing the best that you can, you're really trying to be a healthy person, these are the types of mothers we want. Let's not allow these toxic parents to be bringing these children into the world. Let's bring some children into the world who, you know, you're healing yourself, you're healthy, you're with a man that you know is a good man. Let's bring those children into the world, because they're the ones that are going to be good people, you know?
Yes.
We don't want to keep fixing other people's kids.
No, it's so true. I think we just need to call abuse for what it is and start calling it out. Like, it's just not right. So, but yeah, let's see how this trial ends. Let's hope justice is served.
I'm interested. I'm gonna try not be triggered and listen to all of the updates, because I want her to have justice for what she's gone through. Really,
and I just want all the people who've had to have that experience, even the employers as well, like, to also have justice, because I know how it feels. Like, you're trying to do something that you think, oh, this is what I love to do, and then you find yourself in a situation of just having really bad, like, just a really bad experience that can kind of take all the passion away. So I do hope that everyone who has had a horrific experience does receive justice in this. And wherever, like, Diddy's head mindset is and stuff, like, take accountability, man.
Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode and enjoyed our perspectives and our opinions. Let us know what your opinions are in the comments. Like, comment and subscribe. Anything else you want to say?
No, just share. Like, share your... we want to hear your thoughts. I feel like the moment, like, sometimes we just feel like we're talking into a void. So if you do like it, leave a comment. If you do find anything interesting, just have a conversation. We'll try and respond in the messages.
And let us know if you have any suggestions on what else we can talk about.
Yeah.
Anyway, see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Sweet, I'm so tired.